In the heart of rural Maine, nestled deep within a sprawling forest known locally as Whispering Woods, there stood an old, dilapidated cabin. The locals spoke of it only in hushed tones, for it was said to be cursed, haunted by the spirits of those who had met tragic ends within its walls. Part 1. The arrival Sarah, a young journalist seeking a break from city life, stumbled upon the cabin while researching local folklore for an article. Intrigued by the eerie tales surrounding it, she decided it would make an excellent subject for her next piece. Armed, with her camera and notebook, Sarah ventured into the woods one crisp autumn morning. The forest was dense, the trees towering overhead, casting long shadows that seemed to dance with each gust of wind. As she approached the cabin, Sarah felt a chill run down her spine, as if unseen eyes were watching her every move. The cabin itself was a sight to behold, its wooden beams weathered and worn, windows boarded up as if to keep something out. Sarah cautiously stepped onto the porch, her footsteps echoing eerily in the stillness of the woods. Part 2. The haunting begins inside. The air was thick with dust and the musty scent of abandonment. Sarah's flashlight flickered as she explored each room, her heart pounding with a mix of excitement and fear. In the corner of what appeared to be a living area, she found an old diary, its pages yellowed with age. Curiosity getting the better of her, Sarah began to read. The diary belonged to Emily, a young woman who had lived in the cabin over a century ago. As Sarah turned the brittle pages, she learned of Emily's descent into madness, her increasingly frantic entries detailing strange occurrences, whispers in the night, shadowy figures lurking just beyond her line of sight. Sarah dismissed the tales as mere superstition, but as the hours passed and darkness descended upon Whispering Woods, she couldn't shake the feeling that she was not alone. Part 3. The Unraveling. That night, Sarah was awoken by a soft, insistent whispering. At first, she thought it was a dream, but as she sat up in bed, she realized the sound was coming from somewhere within the cabin. Heart racing, she grabbed her flashlight and ventured into the hallway. The whispering grew louder, surrounding her like a suffocating fog. Shadows danced on the walls, taking on sinister shapes that seemed to reach out for her. Sarah stumbled into the living area, her breath catching in her throat as she saw a figure standing by the fireplace. A figure clad in tattered clothes, its face obscured in darkness. Frozen with fear, Sarah watched as the figure turned towards her, its eyes glowing with an otherworldly intensity. Without warning, a gust of wind slammed the cabin door shut behind her, plunging the room into darkness. Part 4. The confrontation. Desperate to escape, Sarah fumbled for her camera, snapping photos in a frantic attempt to capture evidence of the supernatural. But with each flash, the figure seemed to grow stronger, its presence filling the room with an oppressive dread. Suddenly, a voice echoed in Sarah's mind. Emily's voice, pleading for release from the curse that bound her to the cabin. Trembling, Sarah realized that she had unwittingly unleashed forces beyond her understanding, forces that hungered for her soul. As the whispers grew louder, Sarah felt a cold hand close around her wrist, pulling her towards the fireplace. With a surge of adrenaline, she broke free, stumbling backwards and crashing through a boarded-up window. Part 5. The escape outside. The forest was alive with the sounds of the night. Sarah ran blindly through the trees, branches scratching at her skin as she struggled to put distance between herself and the cabin. Behind her, she could hear the figure's unearthly wail, a haunting lament that chilled her to the bone. Finally, exhausted and disoriented, Sarah collapsed at the edge of a clearing. She looked back towards the cabin, half expecting to see the figure looming in the darkness. But the woods were silent once more, as if the horrors she had witnessed had never occurred. Part 6. The Aftermath Days. Later, Sarah returned to the city, haunted by memories of Whispering Woods. She tried to write her article to warn others of the dangers lurking in the old cabin, but every word seemed inadequate, unable to capture the true terror she had experienced. As time passed, Sarah found herself drawn back to the woods in her dreams, the whispers of Emily echoing in her mind. She knew she would never be able to forget what she had seen, the darkness that still lingered within Whispering Woods. And so, the legend of the haunted cabin continued to grow, whispered among the locals as a cautionary tale to those who dared